Hey, 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 welcome to week number 2 of our virtual book club. I am so excited that you decided to join me with this. For those who are new, I just want to let you know we are doing a book club on the book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. This book, if you're not familiar with it, was written back in 1937. That's over 80 years ago. But this classic is still relevant and applicable in today's times. What this book is about is 13 principles to achieve success. So, Napoleon Hill was challenged by Andrew Carnegie, and he said, I want you to go find out what it is that makes people successful. So he went and interviewed over 500 people. It took over 20 years to get this done. But what he did is took everything that he learned, summarized it, and put it in this book. So there's 13 principles that he shares that helps us in being successful. Now, when he talks about rich here, of course, he's talking about money because the people he interviewed were people who made money. But rich can be anything that you want it to be. It could be power, if that's what you desire, fame, peace of mind, happiness, whatever you want yours to be. But I just have to say that as I'm reading this book, I am getting so many insights. Now I know there's many of you who have this book already, so I just challenge you to take it off your shelf, dust it off, and read along with me. We're just in chapter. This is really just chapter 1. Last week we did the introduction, which was so meaty. It has so many nuggets in there. If you recall, it was about we talked about the guy who was 3 feet from gold, someone who gave up too soon, because an obstacle got in the way. And that's what happens to a lot of us. We give up before we even give ourselves a chance to achieve what it is that we want. But so many powerful lessons in there. We also talked about Edwin Barnes, who wanted to be a business associate of Thomas Edison. And he was determined. He was determined. And so that brings us to this week because it's a great way to start this week's chapter, which is about desire. Because Edwin Barnes, he had a strong desire to be a business partner of Thomas Edison. It took him 5 years to do it. He actually went to Thomas Edison's lab without having any clue as to how this was going to happen. But he told him, I want to be your partner. Now, he had to work for him for 5 years. And when the opportunity presented himself, he was ready. He was ready to become a partner. And their partnership created a lot of money together. And what's important about this is because before you can achieve anything great, you have to have a desire to do it. And I wanted to say this too before I go any further. This book is thick. We're going to spend maybe 13 more weeks on this book. I cannot give you everything that is shared here. So I really just want you to get the book for yourself, whether you buy it, rent it from the library, whatever you need to do, get this book because I'm sharing with you my interpretations, but yours may be different. Either way, it's still going to be some good stuff. But I really it's something to be said. I always tell people these types of book you buy because you can refer to them for years and years to come. But there's going to be so much information that you can use as you're on your way to having the success that you want. But getting back to chapter 1, which is about desire. As I said before, Edwin Barnes had a strong desire to be the partner of Thomas Edison, and he made it happen. But there's also a story in here that was about a warrior, and he and his army had to defeat their enemy. Now, the enemy was bigger, probably had more guns, right? But this guy was like, hey, we have to take them head on, and we have to have the desire to win. So he told his army, get off the boats. Come on. Well, before you get off the boat, set them on fire. So they're like, why are we setting these boats on fire? And basically, he told them, like, either we're going to win or we perish. There's not going to be a way to retreat. And so when you think about that with life, a lot of times we retreat when something comes up that we don't know how to handle instead of just trusting the process and keep moving forward. And so in the story, as I said, they burned the ship that carried them over. And he said, we win or they perish. And I'm pretty sure that they won, right? Because they were determined and they had that burning desire in them for to make that happen. But I wanted to say this too, because there's some things in here that I thought was really important to share this week. And it's a method by which desires for riches or whatever you want can be transmuted, right? And it consists of 6 definite practical steps. So I want to go through each one of these steps with you. And the first one is to fix in your mind what it is you desire. You have to know what you want and be exact with it. So if it's money, don't say I want a lot of money. Say I want $1,355,000.29. Be as exact as you can, right? Whatever it is. The thing is, the mind does not know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So if you imagine that you have it and you put it there and know that this is something that you desire for yourself, fix it in your mind so that you can achieve it. Thomas Edison, I don't know where Jefferson came from. Thomas Edison said, imagination is the preview of your future life. Like whatever it is that you want, you can have it if you imagine it for yourself. You have to see yourself achieving that, right? Number 2 is to determine what you're willing to give up. So you can't get something for nothing. You have to be willing to sacrifice something. And a couple of weeks ago, I saw Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote the book Eat, Pray, Love. And she shared a story with us about a conversation between her and her mentor. Now, her mentor didn't know she was her mentor, but Elizabeth saw her that way. And so every time Elizabeth saw her, she would tell her how she wanted to be a writer, blah, blah, blah. And so one day the lady said to her, when are you going to stop? What are you willing to give up to stop pretending to have the life you're pretending you want to have? Something like that. But basically, she was saying to her, you're saying you want to be a writer, but I don't see you're willing to sacrifice anything to be a writer. You're telling me all about the things you have going, knowing how you and your friends are going on a trip for a week. And she said to her, you're not going. Tell your friends you will not make that trip. I understand you paid your money already, but you're going to lose that money. You're going to take that week and you're going to write. So she's like, your friend's going to have some wonderful experiences. They're going to come back and tell you about them. They'll show you pictures. But if you really want to be a writer, you have to be willing to sacrifice so that you can achieve what it is that you want. So number 2, determine what you're willing to give up so you can have what it is that you want. Number 3, establish a definite date by which you intend to possess whatever it is you want. So you need to have a deadline. Write it down and say, by this date, this is what I'm going to have. Have a goal with time frame. Number 4, create a plan and begin to get in action at once. Even if you don't feel that you're ready, just start moving forward. Every step is going to get you closer and closer to what it is that you want. So number 4, again, create a definite plan. Number 5, write out a clear, concise statement of what it is that you want. Name the time limit for its acquisition. State what you're willing to give in return for it, and describe clearly the plan in which you intend to make this happen. So I do this a lot when I do my vision workshops. I ask people to come up with a vision for their lives 3 years out and say what it is that you want to have by that time. And then we work forward in making that happen. We start getting into action because action is necessary, right? And the last thing that he says is to read your statement aloud twice daily, once before retiring at night and once after you arise in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of what you want. See, feel, and believe. See, feel, and believe. So I'm just going to go through these real quick one more time, just in case you want to write them down or you miss something. Know what it is that you want. Fix your mind on whatever that is that you desire to have. Number 2, determine what you're willing to give up, what you're willing to sacrifice to make that happen for you. Number 3, come up with a definitive date as to when you're going to make this happen. 4, create a plan and then begin at once. Get in action. Number 5, write out a clear, consistent statement saying everything that you talked about before, what it is you want, what you're willing to give up, the date by which this is going to happen, and the plan that's going to make this happen. And the last thing is to read it twice a day, once when you wake up in the morning, once before you go to bed. But feel it, see it, and believe yourself to already have it. So that is this week's lesson. I can't wait to come back for next week, week number 3. I don't know if I'm going to continue in this one because there's so much information in the desire chapter, or if I'll move on to the second principle. But desire is the first principle. Your desire has to be something that's non-negotiable. Like there cannot be a way for you to retreat, right? So when things are starting to feel uncomfortable, you can't go back just because that's what's familiar to you. No, no, no. Your dream, your desire has to be enough that you're going to say, I'm going to burn that bridge behind me so that there is no way for me to get back. And I remember having to do this with my corporate job. It was not easy leaving my corporate job where I was comfortable. I was comfortable getting paid every 2 weeks, right? I was comfortable having healthcare benefits and all other benefits, having 401k being added, money's added to my account, all of that. But I knew that there was something more for me to do. I knew in my heart that there was more that I desired for my life. Today, the person who founded the company that I used to work for passed away. He's gone. But his dreams has been realized over and over and over again. I knew it was time for me to take stand in my life and to step up and do what it was that I know or knew that I needed to do for myself so that my dreams can come to reality. So I just charge you with that today. Think about these 6 principles, these practical steps, put them in action and come up with some kind of vision statement. You can use 3 years from now. So here we are. You can be in whatever, that would be 2021, whatever date you choose, come up with your time frame and say, by this day, this is what I see, and keep your mind fixed on what it is that you want for yourself. That's all I have for today. I so appreciate you for joining me in this. And as I said, you don't have to read the book if you don't want, but I think it would be best for you to get everything that you can out of this book. I am just trying to help inspire people. I am all about helping people live their best lives, whatever that looks like, because everybody's different, right? But that's what I want. I want all of us to be intentional about creating the life that we desire for ourselves. And so I'm giving you 6 steps to help you be successful with it. These 6 steps, like I said, came from over 80 years ago from Napoleon Hill. He did extensive research for 20 years to get this information. And it is still applicable for us today. So please, please, please take a listen and, listen to the video as you're doing now, but read the book if you can. All right. And I will see you back next week. Bye-bye.